Talon adjusted his worn archival coat as the crystalline doors of the Valorian court slid open with a whisper. He'd been summoned, a routine star map verification, they'd said. Nothing unusual. The Human Stellar Cartography Guild contracted with dozens of alien civilizations, and the Valorians were among the most diplomatic. Still, his hands trembled slightly as he stepped into the hall. It was breathtaking. Columns of living light rose toward a ceiling that seemed to capture the cosmos itself, stars wheeling in slow, mesmerizing patterns. Nobles in flowing, iridescent robes stood in clusters, their skin ranging from deep violet to pale lavender, marked with elegant bioluminescent patterns that pulsed gently. Their conversations created a melodic hum, like distant music. Talon felt profoundly out of place. He clutched his data slate tighter, focusing on the task. Find Administrator Kelris. Confirm the disputed border coordinates. Return home. Simple. Then the hall fell silent. Every head turned toward the far end of the chamber. Talon followed their gaze and felt his breath catch. She was magnificent. Lady Aristhiel, he recognized her from the court registry, moved through the crowd like moonlight given form. Her gown seemed woven from starlight itself, shifting between silver and deep blue with each step. Silver-lit eyes, vast and knowing, scanned the room until they locked onto him. Directly onto him. She began walking his way, and the crowd parted like water. Talon's mind raced. Had he made some diplomatic error already? Stepped on sacred ground? His palms grew sweaty against the data slate. Aristhiel stopped 3 feet away, studying him with an intensity that made his skin prickle. Her expression was unreadable, regal, composed, alien in its perfection. Then she spoke, her voice carrying across the silent hall with crystalline clarity. "You're my grandchild's dad?" Talon's brain short-circuited. Several Valorian nobles gasped. Someone dropped what sounded like a ceremonial cup. What? I'm sorry, there must be. But Aristhiel's lips curved into a smile. Not shocked. Not confused. Knowing. Like she'd been expecting this moment. Like she'd already lived it somehow. "Oh, don't look so terrified," she said, her voice dropping to something almost playful. "We have so much to discuss, Talon of Earth." She knew his name. "Lady Aristhiel, I think there's been a terrible mistake," Talon managed, acutely aware of hundreds of alien eyes fixed on him. "I've never even met your family. I just arrived today. I'm here about star maps, not grandchildren." She finished, one elegant eyebrow arching. The bioluminescent patterns along her temples pulsed with what might have been amusement. "No, you wouldn't have. She isn't born yet." The room erupted in whispers. Aristhiel raised one hand, and silence fell instantly. The gesture was effortless, commanding. She turned to address the court. "Honored guests, please forgive the dramatic interruption. I require a private audience with our human guest. Court will resume in one standard cycle." Before Talon could protest, she'd linked her arm through his. The touch sent an unexpected warmth through his sleeve, and guided him toward a side chamber. The doors sealed behind them with a soft chime. The room was smaller, more intimate. Walls of translucent crystal showed the garden outside, where bioluminescent flowers swayed in an alien breeze. "Please, sit," Aristhiel gestured to a low couch. When he hesitated, her smile softened. "I'm not going to eat you, Talon. Though I understand this must be overwhelming." "That's an understatement," he said, but sat. "Lady Aristhiel. Just Aristhiel, please. If we're to be family." "We're not family." The words came out sharper than intended. He softened his tone. "I'm sorry, but this is clearly some kind of error. A translation issue, perhaps? Or..." She moved to a pedestal in the corner, where a small object rested under a shimmer of protective energy. With practiced ease, she deactivated the field and lifted it. The artifact was beautiful, a sphere of dark crystal shot through with veins of silver light. It pulsed gently in her hands. "This," she said quietly, "is a temporal echo. Very rare, very ancient, very accurate. It shows glimpses of the future, not possibilities, but certainties. Events that will occur, woven into the fabric of time itself." Talon leaned forward despite himself. "That's theoretically impossible. Causality doesn't work that way for humans, perhaps." She smiled. "But the universe is vast, Talon. Your species has barely begun to understand it." She held the sphere toward him, and within its depths, he saw something move. A figure. Small. A child. 3 weeks ago, I activated it during a meditation, Aristhiel continued. I saw my granddaughter. 20 years from now, perhaps 25. Beautiful. Clever. Half Veilorian. She looked up, silver eyes meeting his. And half human. Talon stared into the sphere, and the image solidified. A young woman, late teens, perhaps early 20s, stood in what looked like a starship's observation deck. She had Aristhiel's elegant bone structure, but softer. Her skin was a pale lavender, marked with faint bioluminescent patterns that glowed warmly. But her eyes, brown, distinctly human brown, and the shape of her smile. His throat went dry. "That doesn't prove." "Look closer," Aristhiel whispered. The vision shifted, focusing on the young woman's face as she laughed at something off-screen. The way her nose crinkled. The slight asymmetry of her smile. Features Talon saw every morning in his mirror. "This could be manipulated," he said weakly. "A trick, or the temporal echo cannot lie. It's bound by ancient treaties, blood-sealed. To falsify its visions would destroy it, and likely kill the user." Aristhiel set the sphere down gently. "I saw more than just her face, Talon. I saw her memories, fragments of her past. Her father, you, teaching her to read human star charts. Her grandmother, me, teaching her our courtly dances. She speaks of both worlds with love." Talon's mind reeled. "But I don't even know any Veilorians. I mean, I know of your people, but I've never been involved with one romantically." Aristhiel's smile turned playful. "Well, that will have to change, won't it?" Heat crept up his neck. "Lady Aristhiel." "Aristhiel." "Aristhiel," he corrected, "you're talking about your daughter. Shouldn't she be the one? I mean, if this is real, and I'm not saying it is, but shouldn't she be here instead of? My daughter Syrian is currently off-world on a diplomatic mission. She won't return for 3 lunar cycles." Aristhiel moved to sit beside him, close enough that he could see the intricate patterns of light beneath her skin, pulsing in a slow, hypnotic rhythm. "But I confess, I wanted to meet you first." "Why?" Her expression softened, becoming less regal, more genuine. "Because I lost my husband 30 years ago. I raised Syrian alone, and watched her face similar loneliness. The idea that she might find love, that I might have a grandchild." She paused, and for a moment, the powerful noblewoman looked almost vulnerable. "I wanted to see the man who might give our family that gift." Talon's anger deflated. "And what do you see?" Aristhiel studied him, not with judgment, but with genuine curiosity. Her gaze traveled across his face, his worn archivist's coat, the calluses on his fingers from years of manual star chart restoration. "I see someone terrified but trying to be brave," she said softly. "Someone who crossed half the galaxy to honor a work contract, who treats ancient maps with reverence. Someone with kind eyes." She leaned closer, and her voice dropped to a whisper that made his pulse quicken. "Someone worthy of getting to know." "This is insane," Talon said, but his voice lacked conviction. You can't just arrange people's lives based on a vision. What about choice? Free will? Aristhiel leaned back, giving him space, though her eyes never left his face. I'm not arranging anything, Talon. I'm simply acknowledging what will be. The temporal echo shows the destination, not the journey. How we arrive there? That's entirely up to us. But if it's predetermined, is it? She tilted her head, silver eyes glinting with something that might have been mischief. Perhaps the echo showed this future because I saw it. Perhaps meeting you now, this conversation we're having, perhaps it's all part of the path. Or perhaps. She smiled. Perhaps you could walk away right now, return to Earth, and break the timeline entirely. Talon blinked. I could. You're not a prisoner. The court doors are open. She gestured gracefully toward the exit. If you wish to leave, leave. I won't stop you. He stood up, testing her words. She remained seated, relaxed, watching him with calm amusement. He made it 3 steps toward the door before stopping. What happens if I leave? The question surprised him. Honestly? I don't know. Aristhiel rose, moving to the crystal wall overlooking the gardens. Perhaps the timeline adjusts. Perhaps you'll meet Siri in another way, in another place. Or perhaps. She glanced back. Perhaps you'll spend the rest of your life wondering. That's manipulative. That's honest. She turned fully to face him. Talon, I'm not trying to trap you. But I am inviting you to stay. At least for a few days. Learn about our culture. Let me show you our world. Meet my daughter when she returns, if you'd like. No obligations, no pressures. Just possibility. He should refuse. This was crazy. Prophecies, alien noblewomen, future grandchildren, it was all too much, too fast. But. Why are you smiling like that? He asked suspiciously. Aristhiel's lips curved wider. Because you haven't left yet. Damn. She was right. 3 days, he heard himself say. I'll stay 3 days. To investigate this situation properly. As an archivist, I need to verify claims before accepting them. Of course. Very professional. Her eyes sparkled with barely contained delight. And perhaps, during these 3 days, you'll join me for evening meals? It would be terribly rude to leave a hostess dining alone. That's acceptable. And perhaps I could show you our cultural archives? I understand you have a passion for historical documents. We have star maps dating back 12,000 years. He tried not to look too interested. Failed. 12,000? Some even older, though they're kept in the deep vaults. She moved closer, graceful as silk. I could arrange access. If you're willing to indulge a grandmother's curiosity about her future grandson-in-law. I haven't agreed to, that's not. He stopped, catching the teasing glint in her eyes. You're enjoying this. Immensely. She offered her hand in a gesture he'd learned was a Valorian sign of friendship. So. 3 days, Talon of Earth. Let's see what destiny has planned. Against every logical instinct, he took her hand. Her skin was warm, and the bioluminescent patterns along her wrist brightened at the contact. 3 days, he agreed. Her smile suggested she already knew how this would end. The 3 days passed like a dream. Aristhiel proved to be an exceptional guide, introducing Talon to Valorian culture with genuine enthusiasm. She showed him archives that made his archivist's heart sing, star maps of stunning complexity, their human ancestors' first forays into space documented in alien script. They shared meals in her private gardens, where she patiently explained the significance of each bioluminescent bloom. And they talked. Endlessly. About his childhood on Earth, growing up fascinated by the stars. About her life in court, the weight of nobility, the joy of raising Sirian alone. About loss and hope and the strange paths life took. On the third evening, as binary sun set beyond the crystal spires, Talon found himself not wanting to leave. "Your daughter returns tomorrow," he said quietly. They stood in the garden where they'd shared their first private meal. "I should probably stay," Aristhiel interrupted. "Please." He turned to find her closer than expected, silver eyes searching his face. "The 3 days are up," he said softly. "That was our agreement. Agreements can be renegotiated." She reached up, tentative, giving him time to pull away. When he didn't, her fingers brushed his cheek. "Talon, I know this started strangely. I know you must still have doubts. But these past days have been the best I've had in years," he admitted. Her smile was radiant. "Then why leave?" "Because I'm terrified," he confessed. "Of destiny, of expectations, of somehow failing to live up to a future that's already written. What if I meet Sirian and she doesn't? What if we don't? What if you spend your whole life running from possibility?" Aristhiel countered gently. "The echo showed me a grandchild, yes. But you know what else I saw in those fragments?" He shook his head. "Happiness. Genuine, deep happiness. My daughter laughing. You teaching your daughter about Earth's constellations. Our families, blended and thriving." Her voice softened. "I saw love, Talon. Real love. Isn't that worth the risk?" He thought about Earth, about his small apartment and solitary work. About coming home to empty rooms and cataloging stars he'd never visit. Then he thought about Aristhiel's laugh. The way her eyes lit up when he explained human cartography. The warmth of her hand in his. "I'm just an archivist," he said quietly. "I don't know how to be part of a noble family, or live up to cosmic prophecies, or—" "Be yourself," she interrupted. "That's all the future requires. That's all we require." She stepped closer, and her voice dropped to that whisper that made his heart race. "Stay, Talon. Meet Sirian. See what develops. No pressure, no expectations. Just possibility." He looked at her, this beautiful, powerful woman who'd upended his entire life, and made a choice. "Okay," he breathed. "I'll stay." Aristhiel's smile could have lit the darkest corners of space. "Good," she said, and kissed his cheek, her lips warm against his skin. "Because I wasn't ready to let you go." Above them, the stars began to emerge in the darkening sky. Somewhere in that vast cosmos, a future waited, uncertain, terrifying, full of promise. But right now, in this garden with this woman, Talon felt something he hadn't felt in years. He felt home. And perhaps, he thought as Aristhiel took his hand and led him back toward the palace, destiny wasn't something to fear. Perhaps it was something to embrace. In the palace archives, the temporal echo pulsed once, its prophecy one step closer to fulfillment. But in its depths, new images began to form, not of endings, but of beginnings. Of a human man and a Veilorian woman, meeting for the first time. Of a grandmother who smiled, knowing. Of a love story written in the stars. Of a future, becoming present. Of an always, just beginning. The end.